everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's College Sports Huddle. Headlined by basketball and football, a little bit of baseball. Maybe we'll get into the rankings tonight. Welcome everybody watching on the McGrath Podcast Network, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and all the other groups that allow us to share this wonderful show. You'll see a lot of our favorites scrolling at the bottom, not the least of which, of course, and actually the most of which, if that's an actual word, John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings over at America's Pastime, Flo and Can at Bottom Line Sports, Let's Talk Sports, which has a ton of great podcasts, as well as the McGrath Podcast Network. Check all the shows out, which you'll see. Maybe we'll run that 48-second clip during the middle of the show real quick, just to give it a spotlight. Then we'll run it again at the end. I want you guys to see all the great shows and when the replays are and whatnot that you can catch. Also, Ken Krause over at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. And quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh focus, but a national footprint for him. Good stuff. So where is my, there we go. Put our banner up. Also don't know if I have my TGI Sports Talk logo up, but we'll make it work. We got some new promos coming and whatnot. Lots to talk about today. But I got to lead the show, and maybe a good deal of the show will be talking about this. We're going to get into the basketball. We'll look at Bracktolagy. We'll look at who had good weeks, bad weeks. Heading into here, we'll look at the top 25. We'll talk about Miami of Ohio's case, the Red Hawks case for an at-large if they should lose in their tournament. Another close win for them yesterday against Toledo. But some big wins by UCLA, some big wins by TCU, some other bubble teams with some big wins, and we'll take a look at all of that going forward. But we'll start tonight with the sad news that the legendary, and I don't think that term is unwarranted, legendary college football coach Lou Holtz passed away today at the age of 89. Lou Holtz was a great coach, man. He started at, kind of the lower levels, if you will, of college football with William and Mary. Moved down to North Carolina State, coached a year with the Jets, coached Arkansas, coached Minnesota, got to Notre Dame, and after he retired from Notre Dame, came back with South Carolina and turned that program around. Turned all these programs around. People don't realize where Notre Dame was when Lou Holtz took over there after the Jerry Faust era. And I don't mean any disrespect to Jerry Faust. One of the miscast coaches in the history of college football, Jerry Faust. But that program was in disarray, and Lou Holtz got there and won a championship within a few years. And 11 years since Notre Dame's last national championship, before Lou Holtz won in 1988, it's been 38 years since they won again. 30-ish. Since Lou Holtz left. Lou Holtz was in contention for national championships a handful of times after 1988. Some will say maybe he should have won more. But he won a national championship with the most storied program in the history of college football. Sorry, it is. And Lou Holtz was a great coach, great motivational speaker. Hopefully a good man, a good husband, a good father. His sons both into coaching. Skip Holtz coached UConn to a Fiesta Bowl at UConn. Fiesta Bowl, UConn. Also a good coach. Struggled a little bit since then, but still. Lou Holtz, a tremendous coach, and our thoughts and prayers go to his family. And we can certainly talk about where Lou Holtz stands in the pantheon of great coaches, and he's one of the best out there. Good evening, JB. Good to have you with us. Check out JB on the Back It Up Binge podcast on YouTube. Does some great stuff there. hello, CA. CA, I didn't see your text this morning until late. I don't know why. Got running around again today. Lots of stuff going on I didn't expect. Today, you and I will get together soon, I promise. AC is with us. Welcome, AC. Hello, Rick. How are you? Good evening to have you with us. Good to have you with us, I should say. Good evening. A little off my feed today. Chris F. Grave, good evening from, I don't know, is it still snowy in Ontario? I'm guessing it is. Running Rebels playing great basketball. Look at the standings, and I won't tell you anything, but they're playing dominant game basketball. They're not making a Big Ten, or they're not making the NCAA tournament. That's unfortunately, the Mountain West is really, really good. But this is not one of their better years this year. They're probably going to they may only get 2 teams, quite frankly, maybe 3. Let me get to the Mountain West real quick since Chris brought them up. And guys, we'll talk about Lou Holtz if you want to talk about Lou Holtz during the course of the show. And we'll get into some football news later on too. But I want to talk a little bit about obviously the where we are standing with the tournament as we stand today. We got conference tournaments that have started. We'll take a look a little bit at some of those. We got the fate of the Dean Dome. The Dean Dome is now 40 plus years old and starting to fall apart. These historic old arenas I think we can refurbish it. Don't need to tear it down and build a new one. We got the Wooden Award watch if you want to get into some of that. And then in college football, we've got Cooper Witten going to the Sooners. We got Trump's presidential committee on college, the future of college sports. I just don't know where this can possibly go. Carnell Tate running the 40 in a very slow time. Very bad decision by Carnell Tate to go there, run the 40, and do nothing else. In my mind, that's going to hurt his draft stock. I know he's disputing, or some people are disputing that time. Pavia was measured at 5'9" after being listed at 6 foot by Vanderbilt for the last couple of years. We can talk about a bunch of other stuff too, if you want, as we go forward here. But we'll focus mostly on college basketball. Mountain West again. UNLV, are they good? They're 16-14 overall. They're 11-8 in the conference. They've won 2 in a row. This is not one of the better teams in the country. This league is a little bit down. San Diego State lost last night. One of the teams on the bubble that had a bad loss. They stand at 13-6, 19-10 overall. My guess is it's going to be Utah State and New Mexico, and that's going to be it out of the Mountain West. Listen, I like Nevada, Las Vegas. I think Nevada, Las Vegas has got some great basketball history, but they have not really been. And I know, Chris, you like them. I'd really love to know where that affinity for Nevada, Las Vegas comes from a guy from north of the border. But they're just not good enough right now. And again, I'm not saying they shouldn't be considered. If I got to consider teams from the Big 12 that are, 4-12 in conference, we'll talk about this stuff as we go forward, guys. Here's some of the team. Again, Miami of Ohio, 30-0. 30-0. I think they got one more regular season game in the MAC. 30-0. 31-0, most likely heading into the tournament. I'd love to see come out of there undefeated because I think they'll be a great story, and they'll be underseeded, which really is probably a benefit to them, quite frankly. And we'll get to see just how good or bad they are. But if they lose in a conference tournament, there's a chance they don't get in. That's one of the narratives we're looking at here as we head towards Selection Sunday. 2 weeks from this past Sunday. What was I looking for when I got distracted here? Big 12. Look at some of these teams that are on the bubble. We'll get into this a little bit deeper, but I mean, seriously, BYU 8-9, 20-10. They've been on free fall. West Virginia 8-9. I give you that. Okay, those teams out. The other teams in here have all managed to get over 500 in their conference. But Cincinnati's 9-8, 17-13. UCF 9-8, 20-9. TCU's started to play really good basketball. That's a team that's hot. 10-7, 20-10 overall. Okay. But Auburn, Oklahoma State. Where's Oklahoma State? They've been on the bubble. Let me just give you Oklahoma State real quick. 6-11, guys. 6-11. Arizona State's been listed on the bubble. Are they still there now? I mean, it's just frustrating for me to have to talk about these teams, to worry about Miami getting in. Miami deserves a right. And I know we had the discussion they get beat by, teams in the middle of a lot of the major conferences, and it may very well be true, but they deserve the chance to play. SMU, TCU, UCLA. UCLA shouldn't be this close to being out. Last 4 byes. Texas A&M, Santa Clara, Ohio State, New Mexico, Indiana. But Auburn, San Diego State, these are teams all in the bubble. VCU, Virginia Tech, USC, California, West Virginia, Cincinnati. I don't need to see these teams play. And now you're going to expand, or theoretically you're going to expand, which Coach K came out totally against, by the way, ruining this tournament further. If you're going to go to 72 or 76 teams, I don't want to see these teams getting in here. I don't see any of that. I want to see teams that have I want to see teams like Miami, and I want to see teams in these Mid-American conferences that maybe have great regular seasons and lose in their conference tournaments. That's what I want to see. What's up? Hold on 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys, but when there's strange women wandering around the place, I have to check out what's going on. Anyway, where was I? Let me get to a couple of your comments here. Hello, Brian. How are you? Shout out to TGI Sports College Football College Huddle, we should say. Watch and share and subscribe, please do, guys. Get to McGrath, the McGrath Podcast Network as well, and you'll see that we'll run the promo for it at midway through the show, and we'll also run it. You'll see it run at the end of the show as well. But Brian, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes. Miami Hurricanes, yes. I haven't talked a lot about Miami, but Miami's been playing really good basketball. They're going to make the tournament. Most likely, let's see, where's Lenardi have them right now? And I'm going to we're going to go conference by conference here in a little bit. Let me just do a Control F here. Miami. We got a couple of Miamis in here. Miami of Ohio projected an 11 seed, by the way. And that's most likely with them winning their conference tournament. They're going to be an 11 seed. Let's just say they win the conference tournament. They're going to be what? 34, 35-0. 11 seed. Ridiculous. I'm sorry. I see Danny's got a comment there. Probably about what I was talking about there. So we'll see how that goes. Where is my wow, does he have Miami out? He can't have Miami out, can he? Let me go back to we're going to go through the ACC right now. Probably should be in right now is where they have them ranked. Miami, Clemson, and NC State in the ACC. Not locks, but probably in. They're playing really good basketball, ranked 22nd in the country as Brian mentions. Where are we, by the way, standings? No change at the top. Duke, Arizona, Michigan, all headed for number 1 seeds. We got a little bit of a horse race for that final number 1 seed because Florida's been playing. I told you Florida's been playing some of the best basketball in the country, and they continue to win. They've moved into the top 5. They're going to contest Connecticut, for that last seed. Iowa State's still got a shot. Houston, great. A lot rides on what happens in the Big 12 conference. Michigan State could probably still make a case if they were to win the Big 10 tournament. And I think that's it. I don't think you're going to see Nebraska, Texas Tech, or Illinois have a chance. Gonzaga, who I made my future bet on, plus 4,000. Sits at number 12 after a tussle off to St. Mary's last weekend, and their tournament is underway as we speak. Several tournaments going on right now. We'll try to take a look at those. The ASUN, the Atlantic Sun Conference is going on right now. West Coast, as I said, with Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and Santa Clara all playing for spots in the tournament. The Southern Conference, Patriot League, the NEC. What is this? Did I mention the Horizon League is playing right now? Missouri Valley, and a couple others, which we'll take a look at. But see, I know Danny's got a comment up here. Velcro flies, ZZ Top. So you have 68 teams in a tournament. Heck, go 2 more rounds. Well, I don't have a problem with that, right? But I don't want to see it filled up. I want to see some of these mid-major teams get in if you're going to put 2 more rounds in here. I don't have a problem. You put 90 teams in here, 96. Make it 120. Make it something easily divisible by 2, or we can get to, what is that? What would we have to go to? 128. Am I doing my math right? Go to 128. I don't care. There's 300 teams. Let them all in. The cream will rise. But if we're not going to reward these teams for great regular seasons like Miami's, you don't see this every day. They're like the 5th team in 40 years to get to 30-0. You can talk to me all you want about where they play. Don't care. 30-0 is 30-0. Is it harder to do in the SEC? Sure. The Pac-12 back in the day? Sure. At the same time, I can tell you UCLA had much easier treks to those, record number of national championships. What was it, 10 and 12 years? When they only had to win, 2 games to get to the Final Four. And they'd have to beat Long Beach State and some other cupcake to get to the Elite 8, Listen, those are great teams. I'm not diminishing them, I promise you. Everything's relative. I don't have a problem with more teams. It's not the fact that I have a problem with more teams. Coach K doesn't want, again, if we're just going to reward mediocrity, you can't tell me Miami's had a mediocre season at 30-0. They haven't played anybody because they don't have a chance. Teams won't play them in non-conference. I'm not saying they wouldn't get shellacked. I'm not saying they won't get shellacked in the first round. I don't know that they will or won't. I know they're deserving the better than 11 seed. If they're not that good, why are they ranked 17th now in the where are they ranked actually? Sorry. 19th in the AP poll. And 20th in the coaches poll. Why would they be ranked at all? Why are we ranking if they're one of the best 64 teams in the country? Actually, you're saying Auburn and Oklahoma State and these teams with sub 500 records in their conference and a few games over 500 overall are, let's see, probably within the top 40 teams in the country. Why are they not listed here anywhere? I mean, you got top 25, but then you got another 15 teams with votes. None of them are the teams I just talked about in the AP poll. No. Not saying that either, by the way. 30-0, if you go 30-0 or they end up 34-1, they're getting a participation trophy. I'm talking about one team. And the existing we have right now, the existing parameters we have right now. I could care less what they do with the tournament later on. If they add teams, I just don't want to see, as you said, Danny, I don't need to see teams that are, 4-12 in their conference getting in, which is what you're going to see. I mean, if you added 8 more teams right now, just look at Lenardi's. Just look at Lenardi's first 8 teams out. If I can read it. Auburn, 1 game over 500. Big game against, I think, Alabama this weekend. Probably going to determine whether they get in or not. Or go a long ways towards it. San Diego State, not a horrible team. This is one of the mid-majors I think should be considered over some of these teams that are in already. Keep that in mind when we go conference by conference. San Diego State. Maybe even VCU. We'll take a look. We're going to go down this right now. Let's see what changed since last week. Moving up to lock. Iowa. One of those power conference teams I talked about. They're playing pretty good basketball. UCF, middle of the pack in the Pac-12. Wisconsin, middle of the pack in the Big Ten. Georgia, these are teams that moved up to should be in. Georgia locked now, I think, after their win last night against Alabama. Georgia's in the tournament. St. Mary's will probably be in. Cincinnati's in the mix. Added to the fringe, Nevada, doubtful. Mountain West, think they're only getting 2 bids. But ranked ahead of that UNLV team, Chris. At least as far as the committee goes, or at least what the thought of the committee would be. West Virginia's moved down. Stanford's moved down. They're not very good. So based on that and the numbers we're going to look at right now, there's 28 locks. There's 7 that should be in, 21 in the mix. So that's 27 teams basically on the bubble, if you will. That's not counting automatic bids from other conferences, right? So the ACC, Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, Virginia, all locks. No problems with any of that. Clemson, Miami, North Carolina State. I don't have a problem with them. SMU. I think it's doubtful that I have a problem with SMU. Where are you? Well, 8-8 in the conference, 19-10 overall. Again, there's another team that I'd have a problem with leaving Miami out. NC State at least is 10-7 in conference, as is Louisville. Clemson's 11-6. Painful. In the mix, Cal, Virginia Tech. I mean, again, these are teams at the lower half of the Big Ten. 8-9 is Virginia Tech. Stanford, who we talked about being on the bubble, 7-9. 18-11 overall. Big 12. In Arizona, BYU. BYU. They're got an anchor around them right now. They've fallen to under 500 in the conference. They were off to a great start, having a great season until their star player got hurt. They've gone to tank the last 3 weeks. They go out in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. You tell me how they're in this tournament. Houston, no problem. Iowa State, Kansas, Texas Tech, UCF. In the mix, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, I just mentioned, 6-11. TCU has moved and played really well, 10-7. I'll give them in the mix. Arizona State, West Virginia in the mix. No way. Big East. 3 teams are getting in this tournament. The Big East is having a tough year, and the middle of the Big East has really just fallen apart. Seton Hall's still in the mix. They're going to have to beat St. John's this weekend, and probably win a couple of conference tournament games to have a shot. 3 teams get in: Villanova, UConn, and St. John's. You could have your tournament winner there. Big Ten: Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin. What's Wisconsin? I just, Oh, Wisconsin's now 12-6 in the conference. I'm fine there. I thought they were a bit worse. That's my bad. UCLA 12-7, 20-10. I'm fine with that. They're in the mix. I was a lock at 10-8, 20-9. UCLA's not. UCLA's got 3 top 10 wins, I believe, after beating Nebraska the other night at home. Indiana, Ohio State. UCLA's only in the mix. They're in there with Indiana, Ohio State, and USC. They've got some bad losses. I get it. And they're playing much better these past couple of weeks since Mitch Cronin had a meltdown at Michigan State. SEC, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, fine. Georgia's a lock now after yesterday. Kentucky's probably in. But in the mix, Auburn, Missouri, Texas, and Texas A&M. Are you serious? Again, I say this in the sense of some of the mid-majors that don't have any chance to get in this with really exceptional regular seasons. Participation trophy, and maybe that's the way you meant it, Danny. Participation trophy is giving these teams that are mediocre in their conferences an opportunity to win a national championship rather than teams that had exceptional regular seasons in the mid-majors or even below mid-majors a chance. Where's come on, where are you? So as I said, Auburn 7-10, 16-14 overall. Oklahoma 6-11, 16-14 overall. Texas is 9-7, 18-11. That's a little better, obviously. Kentucky, Texas A&M's had a decent year, 10-7, 20-10 overall. Missouri is better than you think. They're above Vanderbilt, who's a lock in the conference. I'll get back to your comments in just a second, guys. I promise. Let me get to the bottom of this. The rest of the leagues, you've got Gonzaga a lock, Utah State from the Mountain West a lock, should be in St. Louis. Either way, again, they're kind of with Miami as far as the at-large goes, but they should be in. They're probably got a better chance than Miami. In the mix, Miami of Ohio. So they're on the bubble with all these other teams that I mentioned with losing records in their conference. Belmont, New Mexico, St. Mary's, San Diego State, Santa Clara, VCU. All of those teams of the rest of the bubbles, Boise State, Liberty, Nevada. Boise State just beat San Diego State the other day. All these teams should be considered before a team that's 6-12 in their conference gets considered. Good news, St. Louis University. There you go. St. Louis or St. Leo. Sorry, I thought you meant St. Louis. Staying out. Jared Beck is now in the minors with the Washington Nationals. If he cracks the bigs, the Heartland Community College alum will be the first 7-foot pitcher. Chris Young was 6'11", but never had a 7-footer. Hello. Paul Spada, how are you? Florida's like playing tremendous. Florida, we may have another back-to-back champion. They've been playing better than anybody in the country probably the last 3 weeks. Didn't get off to a great start. They had a really rough start to the season. Todd Golden is one of the best coaches in the country. Interesting little dust up with him and Coach Calipari last weekend. But a coach we don't talk about. He just won a national championship. We don't talk about. Kansas will be in the mix. Another bad loss for them the other night, though. Who'd they lose to the other night? Was it SMU? Who'd they lose to? Back to number 14 again. This team's been up and down the top 25 like they've lost 2 straight now. They lost to Arizona. Oh, bad loss to Arizona State. This is an Arizona State team that is on the bubble in name only to me. Their coach, Bobby Hurley, probably on his way out. You also had to win your league to get in the tournament back in the day. UCLA finished second 3 times and didn't even get to go. That's true, by the way. And but again, they were winning the Pac-12. USC had some really good teams back then, right? And they had some great teams. I told you, Danny, that I read that book about the 88 game win streak that was broken by Notre Dame. And you had pointed out, and I found out in reading the book, that Notre Dame was also had beat them the previous time. But during this stretch from, I don't know what it was, I think they covered, the book covered years from like 69, 70-ish to 74. And UCLA had some tough competition from USC in several of those years. But in that 10 and 12, I mean, did they not make the tournament? I thought they made the tournament all of those years during that 12-year streak anyway. I could be wrong. But you did have to win your conference for sure. I mean, look at the ACC. The ACC back in, I think it was 74, when they had the first conference tournament that decided their NCAA participant, it was Maryland and North Carolina State. And they were probably the best 2 teams in the country that year. Maybe it wasn't 74. I could have the year wrong. But they just played a tremendous overtime game in that championship game, and North Carolina State won. I want to say that's the year that they beat UCLA in the final or the semifinals, the national semifinals. But Maryland had to go play in the NIT. I get it, but there was only 24 teams in. So yeah, you won your league or you went home. We could go back to that, right? Do away with these conference tournaments, first of all. Miami shouldn't be penalized if they have one bad game in the course of 3 days. Or anybody, for that matter. We've seen it many, many times. I've seen it local here with Siena, who had the best team in the MAC several years and had a down game in the MAC tournament and didn't get in. More teams get what you hate during bowl season. Boring games without fans in the stands. There's where you're wrong, though. There's where you're wrong. These places get packed. They're not like bowl games where you're going to, Yankee Stadium with empty seats and wherever they play the freaking Pop-Tart bowl. These are, defined. These stadiums are sold out for these first and second round games. You're not finding empty seats there. I'm not saying you won't have boring games, and I'm not saying I want more teams. I'm really not. What I'm saying is I want some fair representation from mid-major teams that have great seasons. And quite frankly, I'm worked up, and I have no idea which side this argument Danny's on, because I think and now he's talking to his phone. I feel like the context of his comments he could be on either side of this, saying I'm arguing for participation trophies or participation tournaments, or by letting these mediocre teams in the big conferences, the power conferences, that's the participation part of it. Yeah, and I don't think letting a Miami in, or even an Akron, let's say, who has also had a great season in the Mid-American. There's a lot of teams. If I go through these conferences, you got some really good teams that are not going to be in the tournament, especially if they lose their conference. Some of those conferences are being played right now. I'll leave them out. I'm looking for teams with, very few losses. St. Louis is a great example. Could stay home. VCU's had the A-10's underrated. St. Louis, VCU, Dayton, all really good teams this year. And this has been a good league. It isn't like the Big East, where the top is really good, but the middle and the bottom are just atrocious. It's a fairly deep league this year because St. Joe's has been represented. George Mason had a great early part of the season. Even Fordham's near 500 in a conference. I'm not saying it matches up with the SEC. I would never say that. Nobody there. High Point, 27-4, 15-1. They win. They lose their conference to Winthrop. Out, gone. Conference tournament, by the way. Nobody really there. UNC Wilmington, 26-5, 15-3 overall. I'm just throwing some teams out there. Liberty, 24-5. They're not paying. I understand they don't play the same level of competition night in and night out. I understand. But at some point, you got to look at wins and losses. I can't look at 16-14 for Auburn and say that they deserve to go. And some of these teams with sterling records against the lesser competition don't deserve a shot to play the big boys. Siena, I'm just kidding. Siena will be playing. Siena was playing tomorrow night, I believe, their first game in the Metro Atlantic against Mount St. Mary's. Albany, I think, might be playing tonight. We'll take a look at that maybe when we have a chance. Miami of Ohio, we all know that story. Even Akron, 25-5, 16-1 in the conference. Belmont, 26-5. Win your tournament or stay home. I mean, they could lose to Bradley or somebody. Even the Mountain West might deserve more than two teams. San Diego State, good season. Grand Canyon, good season. Boise, not bad. Nevada, as good as some of these teams that we're talking about. Navy in the Patriot League. They've won, I think they won their first round game. 25-6, 17-1 in conference. Stephen F. Austin, 27-4, 20-2 in conference. I don't see that's Gonzaga, sorry. Anyway. Coach K's legacy started from the get-go. Oh, excuse me. His name went global in 1993 with Nintendo's Coach K's basketball video. Actually, Coach K's legacy didn't start out in the best light at Duke. I think he was, what were they, 13 and let me see if I can find it. I feel like they were like 13-18 his first year. And they were calling for his head at Duke after a couple of seasons, by the way. Sorry, 17-13 his first year, 10-17 his second year, 11-17 his third year. They were looking to get rid of him. And if it wasn't for his athletic director having great confidence in Coach K and what he was doing with this program, he'd have been history after 3 seasons. If he was coaching today, he'd have never survived to this 4th season, where all he did was finally get to the NCAA tournament, and then he started doing pretty well in those NCAA tournaments. Got to the Final Four finally in year 8 or so. Oh, take that back. Year 6. But things didn't get off to such a great start there. Not an auspicious debut for Coach K. I think if you played the first 2 rounds at home sites, you would fill the stadium. Just a thought. If you're talking about football, yes. If you're talking about basketball, again, these stadiums are not empty. They're not half full like they are for these no-name bowl games. I do think you're talking about. I don't see empty seats, and maybe I'm not watching the right region. Because there's good matchups in every single region. You've got to buy. Maybe I'm talking about the tickets that are sold. You may see empty seats because people don't want to go see the boring games. But I guarantee you those venues are basically sold out because there's good teams and good matchups in every single pod. Remember, we don't get an entire region going and playing in one place anymore in the first 2 rounds. They play in pods around the country. So you could get a pod with 4 games on a Thursday, and 2 of them could be from the East bracket. 2 of them could be from the West bracket, USC lost its 33-year-old best player in the mix. They didn't lose him. He left. He's 26 years old, I believe, but 33 does sound like a better story. He just left. They weren't going anywhere anyway. Good to see you, Paul. You don't have to apologize. Paul just got back from the grocery store, so he's confused that we're doing college. Danny's actually with me. I do not believe a 6th or 7th place team. There you go. I was having trouble getting the context of your comment, Danny. I thought you were with me, but I couldn't quite be sure. So where are we? The 6th or 7th place team in any conference deserves more recognition than a team that won their conference and then loses in the freaking conference tournament games, which again, they exist because of money. Why are we playing, 20, 18, 20? Heck, Stephen S. Austin's played 22 conference games. Why are we playing those games if they can get all wiped out in 3 days? And it does make the regular season less meaningful. Why are we playing? Just play a tournament. Be done with it. Those teams get in. It's about money, and we can't go backwards. I mean, I talked about this before that I almost want to advocate for, you win your both the regular season and the tournament team get in, but then you'd have teams not winning. They'd lose their conference tournament on purpose to get a second bid for the conference, or at least you'd have the possibility, certainly people considering the possibility that they would be some shenanigans to let a second team get in. I think Miami definitely has benefited, without a doubt. I mean, they benefit from an easier conference. And let's face it, an even easy schedule. But if they only lose 2 games, even if they only lose 3 games and end up at 20 and 31 wins, they should be in. I think I got your gist there, Danny. The stream of consciousness into your phone. I got Star Trek, the original series, on here, believe it or not, and it's one of the worst episodes ever. I don't know why this got left on here. I should have some basketball on here. There's tournament games being played. I think we're on the same page here, though, Danny. That's a great point. He was there from 1948 on and didn't win for a long time. It's a great point. Today wouldn't last. Would Coach Wooden have lasted till he won his first national championship? No, Coach K wouldn't have lasted, right? So Texas Tech's got a really good team, by the way. They did lose the other night. Who did they lose to the other night? Back it up. Texas Tech's going to get probably a 3rd seed, I would say. I think they just lost to somebody here. Yeah, they lost to TCU, actually. The big one for TCU the other night. TCU's been on a little bit of a roll, playing their way off the bubble. How BYU still a lock is beyond me. I want to say to the well, that's possible. Again, I mean, they did that. They do that here even at the MVP, right? There's a section of seats that they can wall off, so it looks like the place is full. So again, I guess there could be some of that, Chris. Oh, of course I can tell that, buddy. If not, I'd be telling you to drive to a hospital immediately. I hope to God you're not driving to a hospital immediately because I'll feel terrible. Oh, God. So we talked a lot about bracketology there. What else is in the news with college basketball? Isn't there other stuff going on? I don't get this story. By the way, you know, how big a waste of time is it for Trump to be convening this committee to look at the future of college sports? I mean, he's got coaches on there. He's got athletic directors. He's got league president or conference commissioners. But he's also got, guys like Tiger Woods. And what are they gonna rip? The thing doesn't have teeth. What's the point? I don't get it. Oh. I saw a great article as well, and what are the best 50 rivalries in college basketball? To me, Duke, North Carolina is number one. I don't know where they left. They did leave UCLA, Notre Dame out, Danny, interesting enough, but I think it's fallen by the wayside over the last 30 years. But in the 70s and 80s, that was huge. So through the 90s, I would say, right? Duke, Maryland on the decline. Let's look at this number 50, Kentucky Duke. Is it? I don't see that. They played one great game that people remember. Wolford and Furman, Wyoming, Colorado State, Providence, Rhode Island, Oklahoma, Texas. Football, maybe. Basketball, Belmont, Lipscomb. Richmond, VCU, that's a big rivalry. New Mexico State, Seton Hall, Rutgers, Oregon State, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Similar to football, some of these are, right? Illinois, Purdue, Maryland, Virginia, Kansas, Oklahoma. Jeez, is that a rivalry? One team leads 157-70? It's Kansas, by the way. That's kind of like the rivalry. I don't remember who said this. It was, but somebody said it about the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, and this was like when the Yankees were started winning World Series again, and the Red Sox still hadn't won any for about 100 years. It's the same. It's similar to a rivalry between a hammer and a nail. Wisconsin, Michigan State, UConn, Syracuse, great rivalry. Penn and Princeton, great rivalry. USC, UCLA, great rivalry. Kansas, Kansas State, great rivalry. Again, one with lopsided results, 204-97. Auburn, Alabama. Villanova, Georgetown. Duke, Maryland. Pittsburgh, West Virginia. Houston, Texas Tech. I don't know about that. Michigan State, Ohio State. Kentucky, Florida, I like a lot. Indiana, Illinois. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, which in the last decade or 15 years maybe, has become a really good rivalry. Virginia, North Carolina. Kentucky, Tennessee. I'm buying Kentucky, Tennessee more than I'm buying Kentucky, Duke. How about Memphis and Tennessee? Am I going to find that on the list? Michigan, Ohio State. North Carolina, NC State. Again, pretty lopsided, 168-82. Creighton, Nebraska. Not buying that one. Top 20 rivalries, Creighton and Nebraska. Missouri, Illinois. Iowa State. Okay. Wisconsin, Marquette. Top 20, though. Back in the 70s, I would have said Indiana and Kentucky Marquette would be a good rivalry. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, closer than you think. Kansas, Iowa State, again, 192-70. This has got to be today, I guess, right? BYU, this is an all-time for sure. Utah, BYU. Holy War is always exciting. Very close, 137-131, by the way. But these teams aren't relevant enough, often enough, to be a great rivalry, is it? Illinois, Iowa, the Big Five, 100% one of the top, that's number 10, one of the top 10 rivalries of all time. UCLA, Arizona, fair. Cincinnati, Xavier, I suppose, maybe. Top 10, though. Indiana, Kentucky, yes, yes, yes. Kansas, Missouri, top 6. Syracuse, Georgetown, 100%. Obviously not now. Indiana, Purdue, 100%. Michigan, Michigan State, yes. Kentucky, Louisville, yes. Only 48 meetings lifetime. And number 1, Duke, North Carolina, 146-120 lifetime. Thought I'd go through those. Chris has got a shout out to the Happy Hour Social Club on Twitch, an incredibly friendly sports talk show, unlike this one, where all are welcome. I'm just kidding. Starts at 8 p.m. Is that Eastern time? Because you're taking them away from my show. Just kidding. We are more than happy. I'd love it. I'd like it more if they came here and promoted them themselves myself, but that's just me. But we're happy to promote other shows here, especially those that reciprocate. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting exercise. I went through it pretty quick. You know, I look at the top 10. And I don't get some of the top 10. The Big Five, absolutely. Big Five in Philadelphia was one of the biggest deals in college basketball for decades. Not so much anymore, but it was. Not getting UCLA, Arizona. I mean, there was certainly a time it was a big rivalry with the Big Ten gone, or the Pac-12 gone. I'm not sure I buy it. Cincinnati, Xavier, only 93 meetings. Kentucky, Indiana, without a doubt. Kansas, Missouri, I guess. Syracuse, Georgetown, without a doubt. The old Big East, man. I put St. John's, Georgetown in there as well. And St. John's, Connecticut, turning into one of those rivalries. Two very polarizing head coaches. Top talent. Good job. What else? By the way, the UCLA, these picks, by the way, that have, let's see, what's the conference count for, and we'll look at the women here real quick too. We'll look at the rankings at least and talk a little about them. Guys, I did. That's the other thing I wanted to do. I did get the tournaments up and started. So all my games. Hold on. So here is, this I believe is going to be the women's invite. So guys, I'm going to put it in the chat, and I need you guys to go to, you can go to TGI Sports Talk. You can go to my homepage or the TGI Sports Talk Facebook page and Keith Engle's Facebook page, and you can find the links to these tournaments. Let's get in so that when the brackets get released, you're ready to do this. I think I was limited to one bracket a person. Share it with your friends. Put it on your Facebook page, please. We'll have some fun with this. Men's tournament. Show my groups. TGI Sports Talk. Invite friends. I don't really have any friends, but I'll invite you guys. Just kidding. And those are the brackets. Meant to do that earlier on the Unprofessional Professional Sports Show. We'll be sharing these several times, but you can also get these. You can pull them right out of the comments here. You can go to TGI Sports Talk Facebook page. You can go to Keith Engle's, my personal page. Scroll through the timeline. It's there. Please get in, all you guys. Let's have some fun. I want to see about 20 guys at least. Share it with your friends. Share it with the people you don't like. I don't care who you share it with. There's any comments while I was doing that? I didn't. Okay. Excellent. Elsewhere in college. So get in. We'll give you a nice, I don't know what we'll give you. What other news is going on? Bill Self gets ejected. You don't see a lot of college coaches get ejected today. But Bill Self got 2 personal fouls in a loss to Arizona State the other night. Let's look at some of the games that are going on right now. The conference tournaments are being played as we speak. Any games going on as we speak? I don't care about the top 25 because although Kentucky's rolled, Texas A&M and Auburn, which is really kind of a big game. Oh, that's the women. Hold on. Jesus, I'm on the wrong page. Jesus Christ. Good grief, man. All right, this was last night. So let's look at tonight. Division I. Arkansas, Texas. Texas getting rolled. That'll knock them off the bubble. Miami beating SMU. James Madison beating Louisiana. That one is in the Sun Belt Championship, second round. Indiana's whooping up on Minnesota. That one's not important. In the Northeast Conference tournament, Stonehill is beating Lemoyne 39-32. And then in another Northeast Conference tournament, Mercyhurst is beating Fairleigh Dickinson. Central Connecticut by 1 over Wagner. Long Island, LIU is beating Chicago State 40-33. The Horizon League, Oakland is getting beat by Northern Kentucky. Detroit Mercy's beating Milwaukee. Robert Morris beating Youngstown State. Wright State is beating Cleveland State. And any more tournament games here? No more tournament games being played right now. I was hoping I could find my list of... I got too many things open now. That's my problem. There we go. Here's some of the early results, if you will, in some of these tournaments. Who's playing early? The American hasn't started yet. The ACC hasn't started yet. The ASUN, we've already got Jacksonville got beat already in that tournament. North Alabama was beaten by Florida Gulf Coast. We all remember them from 12 or so years ago. Their second round games will be played Friday. Austin P has been moved. They had an automatic second round. Got buyed into the second round or advanced in the second round. Them in Queens. A-10 is next week. Big East is next week. Big Sky starts this weekend. Wednesday, the Big South has started with USC upstate against Gardner-Webb. Big 10 will be next week. Big 12 will be next week. Big West will be next week. The Coastal Athletic Tournament. That starts this weekend, really. Horizon League. Cleveland State had beaten IU Indiana to move into the second round, which is being played today. I'm sorry, one of these games was played yesterday. Wisconsin Green Bay won. Doug Gottlieb advances into the Sunday. It's a very weird tournament. This is kind of the play-in to the regular tournament. So there's a couple of very weird setups here. Metro Atlantic, as I mentioned, starts yesterday. Iona plays Sacred Heart. Fairfield plays Manhattan. Siena, I mentioned, is playing South Mount St. Mary's. That is Friday, as they are gotten a bye into that next round. And they're on the opposite. They're on the opposite side of the bracket from Merrimack, who's the top seed there. So that's a good thing. That's tomorrow. I thought I saw a couple other that were being played already or had started already. Ohio Valley starts tonight. Patriot League started yesterday with Bucknell beating Army. They'll play Navy next, Lafayette, and that's tomorrow. Lafayette lost to Holy Cross. Holy Cross will play Lehigh. SEC will be next week. The Southern starts on Friday. Summit League starts today with Oral Roberts in Kansas City in a first-round play-in game. Sunbelt has already been started. Georgia State got beat by Louisiana. Old Dominion beats Louisiana Monroe, and a couple of those teams are playing again today. Very weird brackets in some of these tournaments, I have to tell you. Southwest Conference won't start now. The West Coast Conference did start yesterday. No, sorry, they started on Thursday. That's my bad. But here's the thing. West Coast Conference, great example. Gonzaga and St. Mary's have got buys all the way to the semifinals. So they got buys, like San Francisco gets a buy into the quarterfinals. Sorry, not to the quarterfinals. Oregon State gets a buy into the quarterfinals. Santa Clara gets it. So the first four teams get buys. The first two get buys all the way to the semifinals. The fourth place teams get buys into the quarterfinals. And then the fifth and sixth place teams get buys into whatever comes after quarterfinals. Really weird. And then the WAC gets started here soon, too. In terms of regional connections, you asked me how I became I did ask you that. In the 80s, in Toronto, we had the Argonauts, kind of Blue Jays. Well, you did have them in the 80s. I mean, kind of. Other sports markets flooded Canada. So you'd see a lot of Nevada, Las Vegas games. It's kind of cool. They were big in the 80s, I'll tell you that. 70s and 80s, 90s, they were big. You were wearing a UNLV shirt when you were 10 years old. Cool. Argonauts are bigger than the Leaves in the 80s. I find that hard to believe, but I'll believe you. They didn't win anything, did they? I'm trying to remember. There was a couple of NFL players that I think I remember playing for the Argonauts. I think Fred Biletnikoff went up there and played for the Argonauts. I believe Ricky Williams went up there and played for the Argonauts. Trying to think, I may be wrong on both counts, but I think that's the case. College football news again. I want to talk about the fact that the great Lou Holtz, legendary football coach Lou Holtz, passed away today at the age of 89. Tremendous coach, not just at Notre Dame where he's most remembered, but at William and Mary, North Carolina State. Arkansas, he had some great teams finishing in the top 5 at Arkansas. Went on to great success went to Minnesota, actually, after Arkansas. And from there, where he turned a team was no good at Minnesota. Didn't win a lot of games, but was good enough to get considered by Notre Dame when they had enough of Jerry Faust, and he turned Notre Dame from kind of what had turned into kind of a laughingstock or irrelevant at best, in college football and turned them back into a national power. Won their last national championship in 1988. Competed for a couple of others in the early 90s. Just a great coach. And the one detour that his career took that wasn't wise was going to the Jets in 1976 and trying to run a wishbone offense with Joe Namath and Richard Todd as the quarterbacks. No, we did not really run the wishbone with Joe Namath was trying to play. And Richard Todd, who I think was a rookie that year. But our thoughts and prayers go out to Lou Holtz and his family. And he, by the way, 2 of his sons are coaches, Skip with some little bit of renown anyway, and have carried on his legacy. And he was a great public speaker, motivational speaker. And I said this on the Unprofessional Professional Sports Show, to show you how the game has changed. He was a linebacker in his college days at Kent State. Can you remember? Can you imagine this guy? He looked like, what was Lou Holtz? 5'8"? I don't even know. Does it tell me? Let me check something here. I don't get his. They're not going to give me his stature. But you remember this little guy grabbing 6'4" lineman by the face mask at Notre Dame? Which, by the way, don't do that today because you get fired. Great job. I mentioned Cooper Witten. Jason Witten's son has declared to go, at least for now, to the Oklahoma Sooners. We have Trump's committee meeting Friday. Mark Stoops has been hired by Texas to be a special assistant to the head coach, Steve Scarsazian. So we'll see what happens with that. I was going to look at some possible playoff. Stuart Mandel went back like 7 years and said if we'd had 12 teams in a playoff for those 7 years, what would the turnover look like every year? And by his projections, and only his projections, there would have been 6 to 7 teams turnover pretty much every year. So actually as high as 8, the way he did it. He's projecting that next year there could be as many as 7, with some of the teams listed. When you think about teams that would have a chance to break into it next year, Notre Dame, BYU, maybe not so much now. They lost their best player who was expelled from school, their top wide receiver. USC, Missouri, Michigan, LSU likely will have a better shot. Louisville, Boise State from the G6. And you got outliers like Cal, Minnesota, Houston, Wisconsin, Washington, Florida, UNLV, all teams that either from power conferences or the G6 will have a shot to kind of break into that. Who are the teams most likely to fall out? James Madison, Tulane, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas Tech, A&M. I could see any of those teams out. I don't see the first 5, maybe even A&M. I got to put in the possibility. 6 through 12, I can see all of them switching out if they possibly. Top 5, I can see staying. Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Miami, and Indiana. Locks? No. Probably Ohio State and Indiana are the closest thing to locks, probably. And we say that so far out that, you know, this opinion could change greatly in the next few months. Let me play this before we go. And again, I'm not going just yet, but I want to play this quick 48-second spotlight for McGrath, the McGrath Podcast Network, by the way, and we'll play it again down the way. some good stuff there, some good shows, and check it all out. And there'll be more joining as we go forward, and you'll see that shared to my pages here again shortly. And also we'll play it at the end of each show. We'll play that for you guys so you can see what's coming up on any given day. And we're glad you guys have joined us tonight. I don't know if we're out of topics or not. And if we are, that's fine. And we'll wrap it up and we'll get ready to share this show for the next go around, which will be, I don't know when it is because I've lost my sheet. I think it's tomorrow night. This show replays at 9 p.m. So catch it then if you want. You can also catch it streaming at all times on YouTube and on Facebook. We're going to concentrate more on the Facebook, as I said, going forward. We'll see how that goes. Who else? Who said something here? Or who might have liked and not said? Jim Graziano, how are you? Good to see us. One of our former guests, Pat Gamil. Good to have you with us, Pat. First time I've seen your name up there. And TGI Sports Talk is up there. I have no idea why. Apparently, I'm watching my own show. Oh, it might be because that's how I check to make sure we go live on Facebook. So in any event, hope you guys are all having a great night. We got more coming. We'll next week, well, Friday, Jack and I are going to talk on the weekend playbook. We'll talk some of this college basketball. Possibly we're going to talk a lot about NFL quarterbacks and potential landing spots for some of these guys. Some big news with Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones to talk about. Some interesting franchise tag stuff. Jack and I will dive all into that Friday. I'll have the MLB update on Friday afternoon. Some big news there with WBC starting real games tomorrow. And, of course, the Sunday Stream of Consciousness on Sunday. And then don't miss the Sunday morning roundtable on the McGrath Podcast Network, which we're happy to share on our pages as well. Make sure you like and subscribe to all of those shows, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or other outlets. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be with you again tonight. You guys have carried the ball very well again, as you always do. We're going to wrap it up as I think we had a good but I'll try to do better next time. Guys, have a great day. Good night, guys.